Imagine owning a piece of history, only to discover it whispers tales of misfortune, illness, or even death. For centuries, Canada's hidden corners have safeguarded objects not just old, but cursed. We're about to delve into the chilling narratives behind these artifacts, revealing the dark energy they've collected over time. 5. La Corriveau's Cage, Quebec. From Quebec folklore comes a brutal, tangible artifact of tragedy and legend, La Corriveau's Cage. The woman tied to this object was Marie-Joseph Corriveau, a simple farmer's daughter in 18th-century New France. In 1763, she was tried and convicted by a British military court-martial for the murder of her second husband with a hatchet. Before the curse, she was a person, not a monster, whose life was tragically altered by domestic turmoil. The grim curse and legend were created by the British authorities who sentenced her. The cursed history began with her execution. After being hanged, Marie-Joseph's body was placed in an iron gibbet, a body-shaped cage, and publicly displayed at a crossroads in Levis as a brutal warning to the populace. The cage became the cursed object, housing the remains of a woman who quickly evolved in the public imagination from a killer to a terrifying figure of the supernatural. The primary cursed encounters are legendary. Locals were terrified of the sight and the sound of the cage clanking in the wind for the 40 days her body was displayed. The most famous incident tells of a man named Dubé passing the crossroads late at night. The ghost of La Corriveau, her eyes flashing red, supposedly tried to grab him, hissing for a baptized man to carry her over the river to the Isle d'Orleans for the witches' Sabbath. The cage, long since removed and now a museum piece, still carries the profound, unsettling history of a real woman transformed by a metal prison into Quebec's most iconic ghostly legend. (4) Antique mannequins at John Lawson House. In New Hamburg, a quaint village in New York, often mistakenly associated with Canadian folklore due to its similar historical context, sits the John Lawson House, where antique figures staged an unsettling, decade-long performance. This is the story of the antique mannequins. The John Lawson House was built in 1845. Its surroundings were marred by tragedy. A horrific 1871 train crash nearby killed 22 people, and a later fire destroyed everything around the house, which miraculously survived. The house itself was not the original cursed object, but the area was steeped in misfortune. The curse truly manifested in the early 2000s when a group of life-sized female mannequins suddenly appeared on the front porch. The cursed event was their constant, unobserved movement. For over a decade, the mannequins would be found sitting in different positions, wearing different vintage clothes, wigs, and holding random props like empty bird cages or toolboxes. Nobody ever saw a person moving or arranging them. The encounters were entirely visual, yet utterly unsettling. Locals and passers-by were baffled and soon began to believe the figures were haunted by the spirits of those who died in the nearby train crash. People swore the mannequins would often be posed facing the direction of the crash site. When bad weather came, they would mysteriously vanish, only to reappear once the sun shone again. Then, as suddenly as they arrived, they vanished in 2016. To this day, no one has definitively claimed responsibility, making their eerie, silent performance a decade-long cursed encounter that left behind a chilling mystery. 3. Sir Isaac Brock's coat, with bullet hole. This is not a tale of a ghostly movement, but of a physical object indelibly stained by a moment of catastrophic fate. This is Sir Isaac Brock's coat, housed at the Canadian War Museum. Before the cursed history, this was the uniform coat of Major General Sir Isaac Brock, commander of Upper Canada's troops during the War of 1812. On the morning of October 13, 1812, this was a symbol of leadership and courage as Brock led a charge against American forces at the Battle of Queenston Heights. The coat itself was a conspicuous, bright target, a high-status uniform on the front lines. The cursed moment came when the coat fulfilled its grim destiny. During the charge, Brock was shot in the chest. The bullet hole that pierces the fabric is the tangible evidence of the curse, a permanent, physical link to the moment a national hero was instantly killed. The ongoing encounter with this object is the sheer weight of its misfortune. It is an artifact of the exact moment a life was lost and a commander fell, forever preserved. Visitors who stand before it are not just looking at a garment, they are staring into a portal of military sacrifice. The very item, though silent, carries the power of the death it caused, an enduring, tragic reminder of the heavy price of war sewn into its fibers. While it doesn't move or cry, its curse is in its finality, a single, black mark on a vivid uniform that altered the course of a battle and the future of a nation. 2. Wheelie stuffed toy, three-wheeled dog toy. At the historic Yeo House in Prince Edward Island, a seemingly innocent 19th-century toy harbors a restless secret. This is the strange case of Wheelie, the three-wheeled dog toy. Wheelie's history is simple, a child's toy from the mid-1800s, likely belonging to one of the Yeo children, a wealthy family of shipbuilders. He's a disfigured, stuffed dog with worn fur and only 3 of his original wheels. Before the curse, he was just a beloved, albeit battered, plaything. The precise moment of the curse is lost to time, but his fate was sealed when he was found hidden inside the walls of the Yeo house during construction work, suggesting he was deliberately concealed or lost under mysterious circumstances. The supernatural phenomena began when the museum placed him on display. The cursed event is constant and simple: Wheelie moves. Staff have repeatedly closed up for the night, leaving the tiny toy on a display table, only to return the next morning and find him in a completely different spot in the room. He simply does not stay put. Incidents encountered at the Yeo house are often blamed on Wheelie's restless energy. These include unexplained piercing shrieks heard from the second floor when no one is present, and the general feeling among staff that the house is a constant environment of disembodied movements. The most unsettling detail is his disfigured appearance. His worn look and remaining 3 wheels lend him an almost purposeful, silent mobility, an object forever searching or forever lost, refusing to remain still for anyone. 1. Mandy the Haunted Doll. Welcome to the Canal Museum in British Columbia, where the air is never quite still around a particular porcelain doll. This is the tale of Mandy the Haunted Doll. Mandy's early history is a mystery, but she is believed to be a German or English porcelain doll from the 1920s or 30s. Before the curse, she was simply a fragile antique, likely a cherished gift passed down through a family. Her true ominous story began in 1991 when a local woman donated her. The woman explained that the beautiful doll gave her a weird feeling, and after she locked it away in the basement, she would frequently wake to the unsettling, unmistakable sound of a baby crying from the floor below. The crying stopped the moment Mandy was left at the museum, but the curse had found a new home. The initial cursed event occurred on Mandy's first night. Museum staff left her on a counter in the lab, only to return the next morning to find the room in utter disarray, as if a small, furious child had thrown a massive tantrum. Since then, Mandy's presence has been defined by paranormal mayhem. Staff report objects disappearing from locked cases, like a stuffed lamb given to her for company mysteriously ending up on the floor outside the case. Visitors claim to see Mandy's cracked, unsettling eyes follow them around the room. Perhaps the most persistent cursed incident involves electronics. Attempting to photograph or videotape Mandy often results in camera malfunctions, dead batteries, or memory cards suddenly failing, only for the equipment to work perfectly fine moments later, once away from her display case. The most chilling encounter? One visitor who saw Mandy returned home to find their house broken into, but the only thing stolen was a different porcelain doll. Mandy, it seems, has a possessive, mischievous spirit, making her a tiny terror locked behind museum glass.